Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. Today we will discuss about double fertilization. So this phenomenon occurs in flowering plants only. So before going to the topic double fertilization, we should know the structure of a flower. So here you can see these are the petals, which is also known as the corolla. This is the sepal. This is the calyx. And then comes the reproductive parts. One is the androecium, which is made up of anther and filament. This is the male reproductive organ, and then the female reproductive organ, and it is made up of three different parts which we will discuss in next slide. The female reproductive part contains ovule, and pollen is the male reproductive unit which is produced in the anther of the androecium. So to fertilization to occur, the pollen need to transfer to the ovule. So how it get transferred, we will discuss about that in next slides. Here it is the gynoecium, or the female reproductive organ of a flower, and at the topmost portion there is stigma. And as I told you earlier, that pollen will be produced in the anther and it will be transferred to the stigma first. Then this portion of the gynoecium is known as the style, and this is the ovary, and this ovary contains ovule, which will contain the egg cell. Now this is the structure of a ovule, which consists of total 10 nuclei. The three nuclei which are present at the top are known as the antipodal cells. Two nuclei which are present at the middle are known as the polar nuclei. And the last three nuclei are present at the bottom, and among them the middle one is the egg cell, and other two nuclei which is providing support to the egg cell are known as synergids. So this is the embryo sac, these are the polar nuclei that I told earlier, and this is the egg cell. Now here you can see that the pollen is being received by the stigma. So after stigma receives the pollen grain grows a tubular structure in the style region of the gynoecium, that is known as the pollen tube. So this is the growing pollen tube. Inside the pollen tube, two nucleus develops. One is generative nucleus and another one is tube nucleus. Fine. Then the pollen tube continues to grow. Growing pollen tube it is. After that, the generative nucleus divides and makes two gametes. So two male gametes are produced from the generative nucleus and the tube nucleus disappears. Then these two male gametes, so these are male gametes, that means both are haploid. One of the male gametes gets fused and fertilize the egg cell. So the egg cell, which was haploid, and male gamete, which is also haploid in nature, gets fused with each other and produce a zygote, which will be diploid in nature. And the other male gamete, which is haploid, gets fused with the polar nuclei. Now both these polar nuclei were haploid at the beginning, but they fused with each other to form a diploid polar nuclei. That means N and N, they fuse with each other to form a diploid polar nuclei, and that male gamete again fuses with that diploid polar nuclei and form a 3N or a triploid structure, and that triploid structure is known as endosperm. The role of the endosperm is to nourish the embryo. So there is two fertilization happening. One is between the male gamete and the egg cell, and the second one is between the polar nuclei and the male gamete. This type of fertilization process is generally seen in the flowering plants